today is Friday, which is super exciting because it means it's the Clyff Hanga Saga. I can't wait. It's been such a roller coaster. I can't even believe what's happened in these last few weeks. So much. Well, I don't know if you've been keeping up with what's been going on, but I'll tell you what happened in the last bit of the story. In the last bit of the story, K.D and her two friends, Hiff and Clyff, found themselves at the castle, and inside was a princess, a beautiful princess. But K.D didn't get to meet her because she was taken off to be fed to a pit of alligators, which turned out to be crocs, because the guards who loved eating pineapple on pizza thought that alligators were crocs. And these weren't even crocs that were animals, they were shoes full of holes and funny stickers. Anyway, she was okay, and she got out of the pit, and she even scored herself a pair of nice pink crocs. Then she went and met up with Clyff and Hiff, who were talking to the princess, whose name was Slur. She was called that because she slurred, and her parents gave her that name. They wanted to find out where their mother was, and Slur, who didn't seem to be as lovely as she seemed at first, told them that she had banished their mother to a maze of size. But they didn't really know if it was a maze of size, meaning big and small, or a maze of size, meaning letting out a whole bunch of air. So they were super confused, and so were we. But that's where our story starts this week. So they have to find their mother, and the only way they can do that is to go into the maze of size, which nobody has returned from. Super scary. Anyway, so Slur tells the guards to take all three of them down the stairs and to the left, where there's a tiny gold door. And they open up the gold door, and on the other side of this golden door, oh my goodness, wowzers, is the biggest maze of maze that the three of them had ever seen. That's right. It wasn't even just a maze, which is amazing enough. It was a maze of maize. That's right. Corn. Tall as the eye could see. It was gigantic. And the three friends were super nervous because they couldn't believe that they had to go through this. This looked impossible. And they were about to ask the guards how they were going to achieve this when they looked around and the golden door had been shut and locked. The three friends were now facing the biggest maze, the most amazing maze of maze they had ever seen. Plus, it was a maze of size. Look, it sure was big, but they still didn't know if it was also a maze of size. But all mazes have some kind of sign at the entrance. Everybody knows that. And sure enough, this maze also had a sign at the entrance. And the sign was written in a big board, in curly-whirly writing. It was written by Slur, and it was signed by her too. Do you want to know what that sign said? Because it's super important. And listen super carefully, because you're going to need to remember that later. K.D decided she would be the one to read what it said on the maze sign. Okay, this is what it said. Enter this maze at your own peril, for nothing is as it seems. Beware the size of frustration and try to stay in your teams. No magic allowed, you must stick to the path. Your feet must stay on the ground. Open your eyes and ears, trust the heart. If you do, there are clues all around. But beware the choices you make. Moving forward can make you weep, and the start can lead to an end. Are the answers your gifts to keep? Watch the sun and the shadow it casts. You must get out before it goes west. Otherwise, you'll be trapped inside with your mother and all the rest. Yours truly, El Schlur. Oh my goodness, said Clyff. It's almost like she knew we were coming. It's been written for us. I know, and who are all the rest? Are there other people stuck inside? Said K.D. She was horrified. Hiff said nothing. He just squeezed his little red nose and made little clown noises. Well, what are we waiting for? Said Clyff. I think we better get going. Look, the sun is still high now, but soon it won't be. Wait, said K.D. Before we go inside, I think I need to read this 2 or 3 more times, because somebody has to remember it. Okay, said Clyff. You go for it. So they waited. They were super patient, and K.D. read through it a few times. Okay, she said, I'm ready. Let's go. So they took a step into the maze of size, and they looked to the left and they looked to the right. Those were the 2 choices they had. Which choices were they going to make? I think we should go left, said K.D. I think we should go right, said Clyff, at the same time. Hiff didn't know what to do. He was so super confused. Well, let's go left, said K.D. Okay, said Clyff, let's go left. So they went left, and then they went right, and then they went left, and then they went right, and left, and right, and left, and then around the circle, and then they didn't know where they were. They were so lost. Oh, this is so frustrating, said K.D. And poof, they were back at the beginning again. Oh dear, said Clyff. This is impossible. We just walked for so long, and now we're back at the beginning. Okay, let's go right this time, said K.D. So the 2 of them, with Hiff following very slowly behind, took a right, and then a left, and then a right, and left, and then straight, and then around. Oh, this is impossible. I'm so frustrated, said Clyff. And poof, they were back to the beginning again. Oh my goodness, K.D. said. I think I understand what's going on. Yes, we are in the size of frustration. We're getting caught up in them, said Hiff. What do you mean? Said Clyff. K.D. explained to Clyff what was going on. Hiff was right. This was a warning in the poem. It said, beware the size of frustration. It's the maze of sighs. Every time they sighed out of frustration, they got sent right back to the beginning again. So in order to get through this maze, they were going to have to stay positive and not sigh in frustration. That was going to be super challenging. Okay, said Hiff, let's go right and then let's go left. Okay? Okay, said the 2 others. So they followed Hiff, and they went right and left and left and left and right and left and right. And then they walked in circles and more circles and more circles. And just as they were about to... K.D. stopped them. Don't sigh in frustration. Stay positive. So they did. And they kept walking a little bit. And then there was lots of stuff on the floor. I mean, on the ground. The ground wasn't even. It was really hard work walking through this maze of maze. K.D. at one point tripped and she fell on her face because all these rocks were always in the way. She stood up and she said, what are these things that I keep falling over? Oh, they're rocks. There's rocks everywhere around here. And the 3 friends turned around, but there were no rocks behind them. And they looked forward. Huh, no rocks in front of them. And they kept walking. K.D. thought that was very strange. Maybe they were starting to imagine they were rocks. At some point, the friends were so lost that K.D. decided to stop them. Wait, she said. Do you remember the story Hansel and Gretel? Neither of Hiff or Clyff knew that story because their mother left when they were very young and she didn't tell them a lot of stories. Well, in the story, said K.D., the brother and sister leave a trail of breadcrumbs that helps them get back to their house. We need to do something similar here. But what are we going to use? Said Hiff. I'm not allowed to use any of my clown magic. And we could have used my handkerchiefs of infinity, but it only works if I'm allowed to use my clown magic. Well, what about using some rocks? Said K.D. And she looked down, and there, sure enough, on the ground were two beautiful shiny rocks. So she was about to pick one up when she heard a noise saying, "Oi!" What? She looked closer, and the noise said, "Hey!" She couldn't believe it, so she took her little knuckle and she tapped it. Tuk, 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 tuk. "Ow!" said the little voice, and she did it to the other one. "Tuk, tuk, tuk, tuk. Ow!" said another little voice. She couldn't believe this, so she dug her little hands into the sand like this, and then she heard, "Stop them! Them tickles! Them tickles!" And then she couldn't believe her eyes. From out of the ground popped not one, but two rock goblins. "Oh my goodness," K.D. said. "You're rock goblins." Hiff and Clyff couldn't believe that she knew what a rock goblin was. But she reminded them that she first heard about what a rock goblin was when she'd met the Grumble Troll, and he told her his long moaning story about how he tripped over one. "Well, of course he tripped over us," said rock goblin number one, whose name was Ibaboob. Ibaboo. Ibaboo. "Well, that is very, very strange," said K.D, that you are everywhere and that you can talk." "Well," said Ibaboo, "this is not the strangest thing about this place. That is my brother, and there are many of us, and we are all over this place, and we have been stuck here for a very, very long time because we're so frustrated that every time we let out a sigh of frustration, we end up going all the way back to the beginning." K.D said, "I know exactly what you're talking about. That happened to us several times, but we're trying to keep positive and trying not to sigh anymore." "Well, good luck with that," said the little rock goblin. "Good luck, because we have been here for goodness knows how long and we just can't find our way out." It was then that K.D had a super duper idea. Her idea went like this. "Rock goblins, do you think you could help us get out of here?" "Why would we do that?" said the rock goblin Ibobob. "Well, what you could do is you could form a trail like breadcrumbs behind us. Surely there must be many of you. If you can find a way to call everyone to this point, then they can all start to form a trail behind us as we walk. Because in the story of Hansel and Gretel, the only way to go through a maze is to remember the rules of the maze. If you arrive at a junction that you have not previously been to before, there'll be no crumbs already on the trail ahead. Then you randomly select a way to go. And if that leads you to a junction where one path is new to you but the other is not, then select the unexplored path. And that's how we basically go about it. But we need breadcrumbs." "Who are you calling a breadcrumb?" said the rock goblin. "You're not a breadcrumb," said K.D, "but we can't do this without your help. Plus, if you help us and you form a trail, it'll be easier for you to get out because you can just follow the trail of each other." "That does kind of make sense," said Ibobob. After much deliberation, Ibobob decided he would help K.D. And his brother, who was sitting close by and had fallen asleep, woke up, heard the story and decided he would also help. And then Ibobob, he took out a little set of pipes, like miniature bagpipes, out of his pocket, and he started playing the bagpipes. It doesn't quite sound like bagpipes, but you get the idea. And before K.D knew it, all these little rocks started coming from all different places. Some from the right, some from the left, some from where they had been before, and some from where they hadn't even gone yet. Some even fell out of the sky. Maybe they were being carried by birds in their big beaks. Anyway, soon The floor was littered with hundreds of different sized rocks, and they were all goblins. So, here's where the story gets exciting. K.D. and Hiff and Clyff decided, let's go forward. And as they went forward, the little rock goblins made a little trail behind them. And sometimes when they went to some place they'd been before, they could see rock goblins, and they knew that that wasn't the way to go. And after about 30 minutes, they found themselves in a place they hadn't seen before. It seemed much wider, the path, than the ones that they had seen before. And up ahead they thought they could see bright, shiny lights. And they were right. As they came closer, there was a big, shiny, bright sign that said, end. But then they saw in smaller letters just before it said, you are almost at the... Oh no, you are almost at the end? This was terrible. This maze really tried your patience. Don't sigh, said K.D. Whatever you do, don't sigh. All three of them kept their happy faces, and just as they got almost to the end, they couldn't believe their eyes. There, at the almost exit, were 3 doors. That's right, 3 doors. On the right side was a red door, and in the middle was a yellow door, and on the left was a green door. They looked more closely at each door. The red door, which was beautiful shade of red with a big gold shiny doorknob and a tiny keyhole, said in big gold letters, past. And it had a triangle on it. The middle door, which was the most beautiful bright yellow, had a green shiny doorknob and a little keyhole. And in big green letters it said, present, and it had a nice heart. And the one on the left, which was green, had lots of like sparkles on it. It had in letters future, and it had a square. But then underneath the 3 doors was a sign on the floor, and it said, be careful which door you choose, for you can only choose one. Oh no! Little rock goblin who was there at the time said, be careful, because a lot of our friends have gone through those doors and we've never seen them again. But which door do we choose? Said K.D. to her 2 friends. This was a super confusing decision that they had to make. But then K.D. remembered the poem. She said, but beware the choices you make. Moving forward can make you weep, and the start can lead to an end. Are the answers your gifts to keep? But beware the choices you make. Moving forward can make you weep, and the start can lead to an end. Are the answers your gifts to keep? Oh, I don't know what that means, said Hiff. It's far too confusing for me, but I think we should go into the past, because then we can find out what happened to our mother. Wait, said Clyff. What about the future? Then we can get through all this mess and we can be with our mother. But hang on, said K.D. What if we go into the future and we never found your mother, so she's not there? And what if we go into the past and we get stuck there and we never come back to now? Listen to what the rhyme is saying, said K.D. And the start, so moving forward can make you weep. That must be the future. We don't want to go and cry, so let's not go to that one. And the start can lead to an end. Could that mean that the past could take us back to the beginning? Or could it mean that the whole story ends? And the last line says, are the answers your gifts to keep? K.D. was a super clever girl. You know what she figured out? She said, my mother always said I should focus on the present because it's a present. Get it? Present is a gift. It's a present. And it's my birthday. So it's got to be this door. Plus, said Clyff, remember what the poem said? It said, open your eyes and ears, trust the heart. Look, that door's got a heart on it. Oh my goodness, the 3 friends were so excited. They told their little friends, wait here, we might be back because this is only almost the end. And they opened up the green, shiny doorknob to the beautiful yellow door with a heart on it that said present. And they opened up the door. And they couldn't believe their eyes. They went into this place, the most beautiful place they'd ever seen. It was a place like silver and colorful and sparkly, and it looked like a birthday town almost. There were streamers and sparklers, and there were balloons floating everywhere. There were even cupcakes on the trees. And they could hear this beautiful singing sound. And as they followed the sound, they saw more and more balloons and a beautiful lake in front of them. And on the lake were beautiful animals. But when they looked closer, they weren't really animals. They were balloon animals. And as they got closer, they saw, sitting on the bench, a beautiful woman. The most beautiful, magical, mystical woman they'd ever seen in their life. She had long silver hair that was full of glitter and full of streamers, and she was blowing up little balloons, and she seemed to be in some kind of dream world. Hiff and Clyff started running. They were so excited. They ran and ran closer and closer, and Hiff said, "Mommy!" and Clyff said, "Mama!" and Hiff said, "Mother!" and Clyff said, "Mamma mia!" And they got so excited and so emotional, and K.D was running just behind them. And the noise that they were making and the emotion they were feeling broke the dream-like trance of the woman that was sitting on the bench. And she turned her beautiful face to look at them, and her eyes opened up as wide as two huge saucers. And she said, "Hiff, Clyff, is that you?" And that is where our story ends. Oh my goodness. I can't tell you any more than that. You're going to have to wait until next week when you find out, is this beautiful, magical, mystical, wonderful person their mother? Have they found her at last? And how will they find the actual end? Because that's what we all want to know. Well, I hope that you enjoyed the story as much as I did. A lot happened, and it was super confusing at times. But tune in next time for the next installment of the Clyff Saga story. My name is Hairyett, and you can see me on Monday. I hope you have a beautiful weekend. Toodaloo!